was. It is on the Santa Fe Springs Gold, CHP Gold. Yeah, we're gonna go to Fullerton. Hang on 1 second. Let me grab it. Okay, will do. On. Yes. Yes, sir. Unfortunately, we're going to have to pull off this pursuit because of fuel. We've been flying on multiple news stories today. We're going to update this story later on tonight. We'll continue to watch this car as we fly away for fuel. But again, the California Highway Patrol pulling off this pursuit as the suspect got off on the Atlantic off the 5 freeway. Airship's going to stay overhead. Unfortunately, we have to brake for fuel right now. We will monitor this story and bring you the very latest tonight at 11 p.m. Watch the 4 News at 11 p.m. for the latest update on this pursuit.
Yeah, those speeds are very high. At 130, that's probably where we've seen the speeds on this paper-plated sedan here a little bit slower. Thankfully, not getting those 100-mile-an-hour speeds that we did see. Trying to get more information from the pursuing agency about the details of the crime. But I am watching a little bit of a delayed feed here as I come through Bell Gardens. But it looks like he's going into a shopping center.
Yeah, he's weaving his way through a parking lot and still going pretty fast.
And there's a bicyclist right there. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so he's weaving his way through, trying to look for an exit, and it looks like he is exiting the parking lot on Eastern Avenue, and he's in Bell Gardens right now. So on Eastern Avenue, out of that parking lot, and now let's look what he's going to do. He's at Florence and Eastern. He's going to go through the light, fly through the light of Florence, and there he just barely misses somebody who was taking a right-hand turn. So a near miss there. Now it seems like he's meandering, JT. He's looking for some place to go. He looks a little bit indecisive.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing right now, Robin's Air 7 HD pulled out with it. I did not see any units directly behind him. I'm certain they maybe backed off a little bit, let the air unit go into a tracking mode to get him to slow down a little bit. But yeah, you're right, David. He doesn't look like he knows where he wants to go, kind of indecisive, trying to what we call clean up, going to parking lots or streets to see if anybody's following them in. That's often what we'll see these guys do is they'll take a little turnoff like we saw in yesterday's pursuit into a parking area or that rest stop or even through a car wash that we saw. But look at that tight squeeze he just went through there. Really getting between those cars, trying to push his way through. Not a good idea. You can imagine those drivers going, what is going on? And just scary stuff here.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if you're right, if those units have backed off of him. And by the way, that begs another question. The CHP was in pursuit of him on the freeway. Do they stay in pursuit of him now that he's on surface streets for a while?
Well, the primary agency will usually stay with the pursuit. It's uncertain if they handed that over to the California Highway Patrol. At one point, I did think that they were in pursuit, but they may have handed that back over to either the LA County Sheriff, as they're coming for Bell Gardens PD, or maybe Arcadia is still on this as they continue on.
Right. And JT, we're learning that maybe some of the ground units actually lost this pursuit driver, and of course, obviously, that help started getting a little too dicey, and they weren't taking nearly the same chances as this driver is.
Or they just backed off, as JT said. When you're going up, he reached up speeds of 130 miles an hour, and then once he's on surface, beyond a little bit.
And you got to remember the nature of the crime, guys. There is a super, and the want right now, as far as we're told, is just theft.
Yeah.
We don't even know if it's grand theft, but they did put that bait package out. So it's a suspect. I don't know if they can necessarily call it a burglary suspect. They might let it crossing the threshold of the home here as it goes into another shopping center. But it's getting a little bit of bad feedback here. I apologize for that. But that's the nature of the crime. So backing off the suspect for it's a crime against property. But now
He's getting into a parking garage, so we're losing
right
track of him, JT. He went into a parking garage. He's at Southgate.
At El Paseo, right there.
El Paso. He's in the parking garage. So this guy's going to obviously try to get in there, maybe park and jump out.
Yeah, so this is a tactic we've seen before that some suspects take. We're trying to get that roll fixed for you. In the El Paseo parking structure, we'll try to get a better location here. Now, what's going to happen is the area unit overhead is going to set up a containment on that parking structure, try to cover every exit, every entrance. We're going to stay a little bit wide and try to watch any car that may go out of here. We've seen suspects try to call other people to meet them in a parking structure, maybe jump into another car. So any car exiting this parking structure is going to be carefully watched by the area unit overhead.
All right, we're seeing some units pull up right now.
The units are going to set up. They're going to contain that parking structure, lock it down to make sure no vehicles drive out. Each one of those black and whites is being deployed by that area unit overhead to take a corner. They'll try to get as many units in place. More than likely, what you're seeing there on that side near the movie theater where they can't really see really well. They'll get that contained first, and then look at the side they drove in, completely contained. As soon as they get some more units here, and then they should have them locked down in there.
All right, in case you're just tuning in, this is a really interesting pursuit that we have been witnessing. Apparently, it started in Arcadia, and from the information that we are getting, police put out a bait package. That's what they call it. You know, we've been having this rash of what we call porch pirates, where people are basically stealing your mail, your packages that are sitting on your front porch. They put out a bait package. This guy apparently grabbed the bait package thinking he was stealing something valuable. Police were on him immediately, and then the chase was on. And he apparently dumped the package at a Denny's parking lot, but then he refused to give up and just took off in that, I guess it's a Ford Fusion, that's what I was told, and speeds him up to 130 miles per hour on the freeway.
Yeah, it was on the 60, on the 710, and then on the 5, and now here in Southgate.
Yeah. And what's interesting, guys, is there may be some information that the suspect may have come out of.
We are getting some information from Air 7 JT that he parked in the parking garage, and Air 7 thinks that they saw him run into the movie theater, that Edwards Cinema right there that you're looking at, and you'll notice there's a police unit right there. So I guess police are on it as well, and hopefully they know this information. But Air 7 says that he saw the suspect run into that theater.
Well, that's good information from Air 7 HD. Well, we'll try to get that as soon as we can. Maybe we'll review that tape, try to get that played back, see if we can get a closing description on that suspect that ran from that parking structure. And if he went into that theater, maybe he didn't go without a ticket. So you see at least one unit there trying to get more Bell Gardens PD units in place. So we're going to clear Sky Map 7 here because we're not needing that anymore. Go to a clean picture and try to figure out if they can find the suspect and maybe some information from the ticket takers on the front of that theater.
You know, I misspoke. It wasn't Air 7 that saw him. Air 7 was communicating out there, and we think the police might have saw him run into there. So you can see a couple of folks, a couple of officers talking right there, and I'm sure there are more units on the way. I can't see, I guess that might be Arcadia PD, but I'm not sure.
That was Bell Gardens, David. I saw his rooftop had a BG on the top, and it looks like that the security guard maybe observed that suspect run in, giving that officer a better description. He's putting that description of the suspect over the radio for the units responding. The idea now is to get this theater locked down and get a containment or a perimeter overhead.
No kidding. And no word on this person, if the person's armed or not. We certainly don't have that information, but what a huge venue to have to search for a suspect unless they're the ticket taker
as long as they have the exits covered, then they could just wait this out and do this according to their own terms.
In situations like this, you can be assured that there are also many cameras both in the courtyard and inside the interior of the theater. That what officers will do as soon as they have this contained, they'll get a better description of that suspect, so they can see what he was wearing. More than likely, if he gets in there, he's probably going to try to change or shed some clothing. We see that quite a bit. So they'll get him ID'd, and they'll have him come out of that theater.
Yeah, I think is that a canine unit right down below there, JT. So you never know if they're going to have to call in their canine as well to try to get them out of this area. But we are learning that this description that we're getting is a male Hispanic wearing a dark blue shirt with a shaved head. So that would be the suspect they're trying to find. And we didn't see inside the car if there was only one suspect. We know that one of the suspects has that description, but no word if there was actually multiple suspects in that vehicle.
There's a canine unit, Bell Gardens canine unit. The dog is out of the car right now.
The next step for the officers as well will be to get a team together, go into that parking structure, locate that vehicle, try to clear that vehicle, and be assured there's no additional suspects in that vehicle. But it looks like Bell Gardens has a lot of units around this theater, especially on the back side. We'll get some units on the front side, and the air unit was overhead the whole time, saw the suspect go into the theater, probably covering all of those rear exits to make sure he didn't. We saw one officer just go into that rear door from Air 7. We think that was an officer, or the door opened and then someone saw the officers and went back in. Very good possibility there. But we'll have this locked down. It's going to take some time, and unfortunately, probably interrupt a lot of people's movies. Quite possibly going to shut the movies down and try to clear these theaters if he made it past the ticket taker.
JT, tactically, we see that canine unit right there. They basically are watching all those exits. All those doors you see across that wall there, those are all exits of the various theaters. So do they use that dog in case this guy runs out of a door and starts running? Can they use that canine to track him down quickly?
Well, it really depends on the criteria of the crime, David. Every agency's got their own policy on when and how they can use the canine. Usually in situations where it's a crime against crime, I should say, involving property and not against a person, that criteria may not be met to use the force of the escalation of force that would include using a canine dog. It's very possible that if the officers have more information about the nature of the suspect, the nature of the crime, if he's armed, or there's other possibilities going on, they may deploy the dog. It just depends on the situation. But right now, I think the idea is using that as a deterrent. If that suspect comes out and he sees that dog out there, he's going to be less likely to run or maybe give up a little sooner.
Yeah, okay, so we are continuing to watch this situation as it unfolds in Southgate, technically, is where I think he is. This is going on in Southgate. Montebello police have surrounded this theater and Edwards Cinema. Okay, let's see what... You see some people on the phone. I'm not sure if they are law enforcement or their management of the theater itself. And I guess, JT, now they have to kind of figure out, do you turn on all the lights and tell everybody to leave? Or what do they... I mean, obviously, they can't just let people file out. But,
I think the first step, David, is kind of what we mentioned before, is try to get with the security and the management team, which you see they're talking to officers. Try to figure out where the security room is. Look at the videotapes inside the theater room. Try to identify the suspect coming in. Get a good look at what he's wearing. Get a good description, any identifiers that can identify him with, and then make a decision based on that. And again, they may know more about what the suspect is wanted for other than just stealing packages from a porch and taking that bait package.
Well, the way he's running, you would think that might be more than just stealing somebody's package. I mean, this has become a very serious offense that this person has committed beyond stealing a package on somebody's porch.
What a stressful situation, though, to be inside that movie theater. And if you're going to pick up someone from this movie theater and you're seeing all the police surrounding this area, what an absolute undertaking to find this suspect that would be inside the theater or inside that parking lot. Because, I mean, you have so many people who are inside both those areas.
Right.
Yeah, frightening experience as well. I mean, of course, with all the theater violence we've seen within the past several years, at least one or two occasions, that's very disheartening for any of the patrons inside the theater. See the police presence in there, that's got to catch your attention. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly they do if they evacuate the theaters or calmly evacuate, and they'll look at everybody coming out one by one. And it looks like they're getting the employees out of there. Those look like the theater employees. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next.
All right, well, we're going to stay on top of this. And by the way, we only have a couple of minutes left on KDOC TV, but what we're going to do is we'll be switching over to ABC7.com as police try to get a handle on this situation and figure out how to search for the suspect. And by the way, in the meantime...
We're going to take a look right here, David. We just reviewed this video where we think we may have seen the suspect running in right there inside the theater. I guess... we don't see him actually running in that theater yet, but look on the top of the screen.
Yeah, there he goes. We believe that might be the suspect. And running right directly towards the cinema. So that might be a good. I mean, it's not a good look at him. He's quite a ways away, but
Right.
that could be it because time-wise, it was just moments after the suspect pulled into that parking garage, and it does happen to go right into the Edward Cinema.
Right, and we're told that the suspect was wearing a dark blue shirt. It looks like that suspect is wearing a dark shirt of some color. But again, you can see everybody sort of standing out in front of here. We did see some of the movie theater employees, some of them walking out just a moment ago. So I'm sure they had a pretty good look at this suspect when they came barreling through the door.
I think it depends. They may be employees. Maybe there's somebody in one of the theaters. I don't know. It is, what is it? It's Thursday night, about 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, maybe there's some folks in there, but we don't know exactly how they're going to go about this, and if they're going to kind of take the people out one by one from these theaters and figure out which one is the suspect. That's the backside of the building right there, as police are watching the back exits in case he wants to go in that direction.
Yeah, and they had their canine right there, very excited dog right there. And at first I thought they were maybe going back into the car, but they still have this whole parking lot surrounded as well because it's not quite sure if that suspect did actually leave their car.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that person, that dark figure, running towards what looked like the theater, but it's not an absolute 100% that that person did leave their car.
Right. Time-wise, though, it does seem like it, and there are witnesses on the ground who saw it, and there are police up in the helicopter who saw it as well. By the way, we are 15 seconds away from letting it go here on KDOC TV. Please hop over to abc7.com as we continue to follow this, and we'll have the very latest tonight, and I would assume at 11 o'clock. We'll see you.
All right, well, we are back on ABC7 right now. We're following the end of a pursuit that started in Arcadia. Now it's in Southgate, where a suspect led police on a very high-speed pursuit on the 60 to the 710 to the 5, going speeds up to almost 130 miles per hour. And then the car ended up driving into the parking lot adjacent to this Edwards Theater in the El Paseo area of Southgate. And if you look at the top part of your screen right there, we believe that is the suspect running from the garage towards the movie theater, but no word actually if that suspect went inside.
Right.
That is the video, though, that we have. Possible suspect.
So it happened really quickly, and in some ways, I think we're fortunate that this guy decided to pull into this parking garage and try to get away that way, as opposed to driving at 130 miles per hour on the freeway, which is exceptionally dangerous, and high speeds as well, 80, 90 miles per hour on surface streets. So he dumped his car inside the parking garage, and we think he ran into Edwards Cinema. We believe that video that you saw, that Colleen was describing, was the suspect running into the theater, described as a male Hispanic, dark blue shirt with a shaved head. There you go. That's what that suspect is described as. That's not the only visual on him. We have a security guard on the ground that saw him, and we also have police in the helicopter above that saw him as well. So then we have Montebello police kind of moving in, surrounding this cinema and this area. They're watching the backside of this theater to make sure that all the exits are covered from the backside. They also have a K9 unit back there, and of course the front is covered as well. So now it's a matter of trying to figure out what's going on inside this theater. If the